Hello everybody and welcome to another week of Makers Monday. I am Anastasia Radloff, aka Stampin' Blondie, and I'm excited to be back with you after a little hiatus. My husband and I took a trip to Japan, and there was also Memorial Day in there, and just had an overall little summer break there. But I am back now and excited to be stamping with you here today. All right, now let me just make sure that I'm live. I'm here live over on Facebook and also on YouTube. So if you're watching, make sure to comment, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where everybody is joining me each week. Now, it looks like I'm live on YouTube. So yes, I am live over on Facebook as well. I'm just gonna close those out. As a reminder, if I have any kind of tech issues like buffering or the video stops, just let me know in the comments. It's always being recorded, so I'll upload it, the full video, if for some reason it does stop. You never know with technology, it kind of has a mind of its own sometimes. Now, like I said, I am back from my trip from Japan. We took a 10-day trip to Tokyo, and you may be saying, wow, that's a long time to spend in just one city. Well, Tokyo is huge. So just a little fun facts about Korea, Tokyo here. So the entire peninsula of South Korea has about 51 million people and is roughly the size of the state of Indiana. Now, as comparison, the continent of Australia has about 20 million people and is about the size of the United States. Now, in relation to both of those, Tokyo has 40 million people just in the city of Tokyo alone. So there's almost as many people in Tokyo as there is in the entire country of South Korea, and double the entire continent of Australia. So definitely you could easily spend 10 days or more in Tokyo and not even see everything. We had so much fun. I had never been to Japan before. Well, I had been to Japan when you move here and you take the government flight from the States to Korea. You do stop in Japan, but it's like a 2.5-hour stop layover. And so you're not really in Japan. You're just on the flight line in Japan. So it was our first trip for my husband to leave Korea since we've been here. We had a couple other trips planned but had to cancel because of work stuff for him. So this was his first trip off the peninsula, and he was so excited to visit and actually have a much needed relaxing vacation. Although I wouldn't say relaxing, we walked 20,000 steps a day. I tracked it. I have an Apple Watch. It tracks everything, so it tells you how many steps a day, how many miles a day. In 10 days, we did almost 62 miles, well over 100,000 steps. It was very hard on my feet, but we had a blast. We visited Disneyland, Disney Sea, of course, the temples and shrines and all those different things. But I have something that I want to share with you guys that I've been working on from my trip. Now, Japan is a very big stationery country. They love stationery shops that have stickers and washi tape, and Korea is like that too. But I feel like Japan is maybe just like a step up from Korea. So I have been working on a travel journal from my trip, and it's not completely finished, but I just wanted to show you guys what I've been working on so far. So let's go ahead and swap the camera here. There we go. So this is, there's a company called Traveler's Factory Notebooks, and they are actually based in Japan, but they are well known worldwide. So the Traveler's Notebooks look like this, and then you can put these inserts inside and do like different things with them. So there's 3 Traveler's Factory stores, actually there's 4 in Japan. I visited 3 of them, and each of the different locations have exclusive items, so that's why we went to those different areas. So this was from the Narita airport. And so I made a little, you can see I've been working on it, a little travel journal. So I'm just going to go quickly through it. I'm not going to show, not going to sit on each page for a while, but this was the front page. Now I did use some Stampin' Up! Items, some items that I got in Japan, and then I liked to add little pictures and little details of what we did. So I purchased this Polaroid photo printer, and so it can do, the largest size is 2x3, and they have sticky backs. So it's perfect for travel journaling. But I have like our boarding pass in here, our receipts from our train tickets, and I made this fun little pocket here for these. Our travel card is in here. I got this washi tape, is all from Japan. The first stop we did, the Shibuya crossing, is the world's busiest crosswalk. It has, of course, all four corners like a normal crosswalk, but then there's a diagonal crosswalk in there as well. And you can see it goes from this amount of people waiting on the side to craziness when trying to cross. So I had to, of course, share a little bit of that in there. There was a fun Star Wars themed cafe that pop-up that we went to. They had merchandise because the new Star Wars movie had come out that day. And so there was a whole Mandalorian and Grogu, little baby Yoda pop-up shop. Saturday morning, let me make sure to, okay, Saturday morning we went to the Tokyo flea market, and I got some of these cute, they're called Kokoshi dolls, and they're these little wooden dolls. That's one that I got. We were featured on their Instagram page, so that's the picture for it. But they had all these little dolls for sale, and I got two. There was a dachshund store in Ginza, and if you know me, we love dachshunds. We have a dachshund. We've adopted dachshunds in the past, and this store had dachshunds in store, but it was all completely tailored for dachshunds. They had clothes for dachsies, they had specialized treats, and then they also had in-store dachshunds as well for just like showcasing their wares and stuff. So that was a very cute stop. We did it's called JDM, Japanese Domestic Model. My husband is very into cars, and if you know anything, Tokyo, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is a real thing. So we went to a JDM car experience where we got to see all the souped up cars. They took us around the city in a souped up car, so that was a lot of fun for him and for me. It was cool to see all the different cars that they had there, both Japanese and American cars, and European, but more Japanese and American cars than I thought there would be. All right, we went to the Meiju Temple, shrine. A shrine is different than a temple, so we have some little brochures that I picked up that I put in here. The Tajuki Outer Fish Market was so much fun. I don't eat seafood, but my husband loves sushi, so of course we had to stop there. I got some Kobe beef and some glass strawberries, but it was really fun to use these little things that you can pick up for free, this little market map, and then I just put our pictures on it. There was a little message in the map that I did a pull out here for. So doing a travel journal is really fun. This is a great way to remember your trips. And then a lot of these things I picked up for free, like maps and this little bag that had this fish stamp on it, stickers that I got in Japan, just a little commemorative thing. Now this is my next page that I'm working on. It's not finished, of course, obviously, but then I have the rest of this to work with. So that's my travel journal that I've been working on. If you have questions about any of the products that you saw here, like I said, Traveler's Notebook, Polaroid printer. It prints right from here. It is Bluetooth, so it just hooks right up to my phone. It's been really fun to make something different than cards or scrapbook pages, and just working with things that I picked up for free in Japan, as well as all the stickers and goodies that I got there too. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you like it. This is my first travel journal that I've made like this, so it may not be, you know, top tier finished, but I really like the way it's turning out. Each page is different, and it's a great way to remember our trip. And it was such a fun trip that I want to go back right away. I loved Japan. The people were kind, it was clean. And coming from Korea, they had a lot of similarities, especially with transportation. So I really didn't feel like there was a huge language barrier because I live in a country where I don't know the language. So it was really easy just to transition that way. All right, so let's jump into our projects today. So today we are making 3 projects featuring the Berry Botanicals vellum paper. Now yesterday on my website, Facebook, Instagram, I shared this project featuring the Berry Botanicals vellum. Now this vellum was May's product of the month. So back in January, Stampin' Up! Kicked off this new program called Product of the Month, where for every $75 you spend, you get to choose a product of the month for $5 to your order. They're exclusive items, and so far there's been stamps, dies, designer series paper, vellum, and this month we also have another stamp set. And I wanted to share that with you. This is June's product of the month. It is the Wild Bunch stamp set. Look how cute that is right there. I'm gonna move it up. Haven't had a chance to order it yet because just got back from our trip and I didn't want the mail just to sit while we were gone. So June's product of the month, Wild Bunch stamp set. This is an exclusive stamp set that can only be purchased with qualifying orders. Like I said, it's $5 and you can only purchase one. So once you've fulfilled that, you can't get any more. These are always while supplies last. But May's product of the month, the Berry Botanicals vellum, is still available. And you can go back and see there's a couple of months that still have product of the month that is available still. So if June's product of the month is not your style, you can always go back and see what there is. Now this is what the Berry Botanicals vellum paper looks like. It is 12 sheets and you get 3 of each different design. I was a little hesitant when I added this to my order just because while I love vellum, I don't use it a ton, and I think it's because just plain vellum, well, yes, you can emboss it, you can stamp on it, it's just plain. And so when I got this, I was really surprised with how bright and fun this is. I didn't think I was going to use it a lot, but now I do think so. So you have 4 different patterns. 2 of them, Peaceful Pine and Fresh Freesia, are more of a muted, you got polka dots and stripes, very easy to go with a lot of different things. But then you have these 2 floral images that are really bright and pretty, and they can work with a variety of different projects. So speaking of projects, this is what we're going to be working on today. So here is one of our first cards. Now I liked this one because we're using that vellum as the front flap of our project. Now normally vellum, you want to have a piece of white behind it so it really pops, but we're making this into the front flap of our card. So we're going to do that. It doesn't matter that you have tape on the inside of your project. It's okay. You could always add a piece of cardstock over that if you're a little self-conscious about it, but to me, I don't care. It makes it look more homemade. So there's our project there. Now this one, we're layering 2 of the vellums together. So we're going to do the Fresh Freesia with the floral on top. Not as bright, a little bit muted, but still very fun and beautiful for that. And then our last card, very simple and easy to put together, a great way to work with some scraps that you may have. And then the white background really makes that vellum kind of pop there. So let's get started with our projects here. I do need to grab my paper trimmer because we are going to be using that. Forgot about that, so we need to put that over here. Now for the projects today, I'll be using the Sending Salutations stamp set. This is on page 45 of the May to August catalog. It's right here in the corner. Now it may be often overlooked because it does not have any coordinating punch or dies to go along with it. It is just a standalone sentiment set. So here's what it looks like. It is 11 different stamps, and I like it because it has the mix of fonts to go along with them. Now you have everything here from birthday, congratulations, there's fun ones like wishing you a bright and beautiful future, here's to a new chapter, which would be great for graduation season, which we're kind of in right now. I truly appreciate all you do. So there's a great variety of sentiments that aren't just your standard happy birthday, congratulations, those kind of sentiments. So let's get started. Thank you, Kay. She says lovely cards. And hello, we've got two ladies from Wisconsin, Kay and Shar. We've got Margaret from North Carolina watching. My mom's always watching. Hi, Mom. And then Barb from Tucson. Hello, Tucson. I miss Tucson. All right, so let's grab our first project today. We are gonna do this one right here with that vellum as the front flap of our card. So we are going to use, let's get all of our little pieces out here. We've got a piece of Peaceful Pine cardstock. This is one of the new 2026-2028 in colors. It is cut to 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and we're just going to use our bone folder to crisp up our line before we do any cutting here. Now we are going to trim down our cardstock, and I want to give you the measurement here. We are going to make our piece of cardstock at the base. It's going to be 5 3/4 long. So let's get our trimmer out. And we're going to make it 5 3/4. So we're just cutting off, and we have now that front flap. Now you could still use this piece of paper for another project, so we're just going to put that off to the side and work on our paper here. Now, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks about how to glue down vellum. If you were to add regular multi-purpose liquid glue to the back of this, or Stamp and Seal, when you glue it down to your project, you're gonna see that glue show through the vellum paper. It's semi-opaque, so you wanna make sure that you use the right type of glue with this. So what we're gonna do for all of our projects today is I have my silicone mat and my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to use if you remember these old Stampin' sponges that we used to have. I still have so many of them, but it's really fun to bring them back out and use them for projects like this. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna add some glue to our silicone mat here. And then we're gonna take our sponge, dab it in the glue, and then on just this end of the vellum, because that's what we're gonna glue down, we're just going to dab that right on to the paper. Now doing this makes the paper tacky, but not enough where the glue is going to show through. So we just glue that down there. And then you can see, oh, let me get the glue pieces off the top. You can see there's no glue shadow on the bottom, and it's perfectly stuck on there, the right amount of glue. So the perfect tip to add vellum to any paper, even if you have non-printed vellum, you just have semi-opaque with no pattern on it, this technique works great for gluing that down as well. So put that off to the side, and we're going to glue down our piece of basic white cardstock. This is going to go on the inside. Now this piece and that vellum piece I just put down are the same size. They're 4 by 5 1/4. And then when you glue that down and close it, it'll line right up so that you have that peekaboo of blue or of white, and it makes the color of the vellum just pop even more. All right. I have a piece of Golden Glow cardstock that I've already punched with the rounded rectangle punch, just kind of saving a little bit of time here today. And we're going to use the trusty Tuxedo Black ink and the sentiment that says, wishing you a bright and beautiful future. Again, a great graduation card, maybe a going away card. It has a good variety of uses for this. There we go. Shar says, I have a sponge slightly damp when I do that with the glue. Yep, that's a great way to do it too. And with this silicone mat here, once the glue is dried, you can just scratch it off and it won't be sticky anymore. So you don't have to worry about it. You can clean these silicone mats. They're just like those baking mats that you can get. So it's a great tool to have in your stash. Right, we are gonna glue this down right here, and you can use multi-purpose liquid glue for this. It's okay if it shows through. Right there, and now we're gonna add our twine. This is the linen thread. I like to use this a lot. It is a really cheap embellishment and you get so much of it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in the middle with a little piece of Scotch tape. I love Scotch tape, having it in my craft room because it's the perfect adhesive. You don't have to wait for anything to dry. Normally you don't see the Scotch tape, but like I said, you could add a piece of cardstock right over top of this and nobody would even see that on the inside. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it around 3 times so that there's a little bit of space in between. So you wanna leave it on the roll. Just pull a bunch of that off. So we're gonna wrap it once and twice and once more. And you just want it to do straight lines here. And then around the back, the scissors, and then another piece of Scotch tape right over that same area you taped before. So there we go. Side here. And Scotch tape. This is Goldie, my trusted tape dispenser. So we have our 3 lines of linen thread. Now we're going to take 2 pieces of this about 8 inches long. I like to use a little bit more linen thread than I need, especially for this technique, because we're going to cut 2 pieces of it. And it'll help you have enough on hand for when you tie it. Go. And because it can be curly, you just take your thumb and forefinger and pull it through and it'll help straighten it out, and it really makes it a lot easier to tie. We're gonna thread that underneath the 3 pieces here, and that's what's gonna give us, when we tie it, it's gonna give us that cinch right there. So pull these through. Cinch, and then tie your bow. And then once you've got the size you want, you can cut the ends and embellish. So where's that lid? There we go. So pull these there and here. Gonna turn our bow a little bit. There we go. Now the last piece you may have missed are these 2 little dewdrops. These are the dewdrops embellishments. They come in Secret Sea. I think this is Granny Apple Green and then clear. And anytime Stampin' Up! Has an embellishment that's clear, I always add it to my cart, because if I want to change the color of it with Stampin' Blends, I can. So I always have these like clear embellishments. But for this one, we are not going to do any coloring on it. We're just going to take one of the large dewdrops, one of the small, and that is our first project today with the Berry Botanicals Vellum. Like I mentioned, this is May's product of the month. It is still available, so you can add that to your cart with a qualifying order. And it's a really fun vellum to have on hand. It's springtime. It does kind of flow into summer as well with its bright colors. So I hope you guys liked that first project. This is definitely my favorite one this week. I really liked the way that one turned out. All right, our next one is going to be this Fresh Freesia card. It is an easel card. So our base is going to be 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And all the measurements for this week's cards will be posted on my website every day. I have a little section on when I feature each card that has the measurements of every card. So if you like these projects, you can always go on my website and see the measurements and recreate them yourself. So we have a piece of basic white and the Fresh Freesia vellum. So we're going to first add our glue to the back of that with our little silicone mat here and our sponge. Now when I do this, I try to put the glue all in the same spot, so when I do go back and clean it up, it's all in that one little area there. There we go. You could use the like finger daubers that we have, the sponge daubers, but those are really nice, and I figure these can get easily thrown out. I like the little sponge daubers for inking. These are better for glue. So they're little cheap sponges. You could probably find different ones at the dollar store nowadays. I've got some glue on my vellum, so I have this little glue eraser, and it's just, we'll pick that glue right up. There we go. And it won't be, I must have used some of that glue in that area where I had my paper down and it was getting tacky. There we go. Okay. We're gonna add this down with our Stampin' Dimensionals. And that's gonna go right in the middle of our easel card. Let's put that down so you can see what it looks like now. But before I glue this down, we are gonna do our thread. And I wanted to put my dimensionals down first because then I know where my linen thread is gonna go in between here. So we are gonna take about, let's do maybe like 12, 14 inches, just so we have enough to wrap around and then tie our bow. Let's do 15 just in case. Like I said, you get so much of this thread, it's okay if you use a little bit more than you need. There. Okay, and we're gonna thread this in here. So we're putting it in between our dimensionals. We're not going to tie it just yet. We're just gonna add this down to our card base first. There we go. Make sure we're still in between our dimensionals and just glue that right on. Now you could try to thread it underneath after you've already put it on, but it's a little more difficult. So you're just gonna thread that before you glue that down. Now, before we tie it, we have to add our last piece of vellum here. So bring in our glue back in. Here we go. I'm just gonna do it on here because we're not gonna get glue on the table. There we go. That should be tacky enough. You don't really want big globs of glue or it'll definitely show through. Just make it a little tacky and it'll stick right on there. So that will go there. Now we can tie our ribbon. So let's see if I cut enough. Maybe a little tiny bow, but that's okay. Bow there. And there we go. Oh, it came through. Let's retie that. I may have to pull it through just a little bit more. There. Let's see. It's kind of hard when you have to like guesstimate how much thread you need to use without wasting it, and that's okay. Even if we have a little tiny bow, it'll still work. Let's pull it that way better. Just kind of pull that through, tie a little bow. Now you could use a mini glue dot to kind of keep the thread in place, but I like that the bow can kind of slide back and forth if you want. All right, there we go. Now I've pre-punched a piece of basic white cardstock with a 2-inch circle punch. I pre-punched it again just to save some time here. And our sentiment is to a marvelous person on their birthday. It's always great to have birthday cards on hand, so this is a perfect sentiment for that. And this is going to go on with Stampin' Dimensionals. Just give it a little pop there. And right there in the corner. Now, as our final touch, we're going to add 2 of the Secret C dewdrops in the large size to the lower left corner. And that is our second card today, featuring the Berry Botanicals Vellum. So a fun easel card, very simple, great to put together in a pinch if you need a birthday card, but this is a great card to have on hand for anybody's birthday that may be coming up. Spring, summer, this is really a good card for all year round too. So I hope you guys like that one. Now this last one is a very great way to use up some scraps that you may have on hand. We're going to use a Flirty Flamingo for our paper here, and I chose Flirty Flamingo because on the back of all of our designer series papers, vellums, whatever kind of paper you use, there is a color guide, and it tells you what colors are in the paper. So if you've ever guessed like, oh, I don't know what color blue to use with this paper, it'll tell you on the back of our designer series paper or vellum or whatever kind of paper you have. So I chose Flirty Flamingo because that is what color was in the color guide. So our first layer is going to be a piece of basic white cardstock. We have our basic white base 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and we're just going to glue our first layer down. This is going to help that piece of fresh freesia really pop against it and give it a little bit of a layer there as well. So we have our fresh freesia here with our glue that we're going to add here. This little bit around the edge. You don't need a lot of glue for this. Just a little, like I said, just make it tacky and it'll stick right to the paper. Just a little bit of glue is all you need with vellum to do that technique. And that'll go right there. Now we're going to do the same thing with this piece. This is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8 and 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So like I said, great way to use up some scraps. And just turn and stick. There we go. Can get this out of the way because we're done with that. And right in there. And you can just see how that white really makes it pop against the white background. Or the white makes the vellum pop against the background. This is going to go on with dimensionals. And don't forget, you can still use the rest of these once you're finished with all the regular dimensional pieces. I just like to cut them, and they're great for little skinny pieces or using these leftovers. So you use the whole piece of paper there. And here we go. And I want it to be this way. And that's going to go on the right side here. Our sentiment says, I hope all things wonderful are headed your way. Again, graduation card, congratulations card, a great variety of uses from this sentiment on our piece of Flirty Flamingo. And we're just going to take our scissors and cut the ends at an angle here. Just make sure your angles are going the same way. And we're going to glue this down. Now, because we added Stampin' Dimensionals with this piece here, we want it to be all one layer. So if we were to add dimensionals to the back of this on both sides, we would have one side that's 2 dimensionals high and one side that's 1 dimensional high. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and on this side here, that's going to go over here, we're going to add 1 dimensional. And then the other side is going to be liquid glue. And this will make sure that our sentiment is flush with this piece that we just put on here. And that'll go right there. And then the final touch, no ribbon on this one. We're just gonna add one of the large clear dewdrops right here. I didn't want to take away from the simplicity of this project with some more linen thread. I just wanted it to be a quick and simple, easy project to put together that all skill levels could really do. So here is our final project today with the Berry Botanicals Vellum, which is May's product of the month, still available to add to your cart. All right, let's bring in all 3 of our projects today, and you can let me know which one is your favorite. We have our Flirty Flamingo sentiment. We have our pastel birthday card, and definitely my favorite this week is the little peekaboo with the peaceful pine. I love the way that using the vellum as the front flap of the card is a different kind of way of setting your projects up. So let me know which one in the comments is your favorite this week. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining me for another week of Makers Monday. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Thank you for joining me for another week of Makers Monday. I look forward to being back with you next week for more live step-by-step crafting. As always, if you have any questions about any of the products that I made today, or how to put anything together, any of the Stampin' Up! Projects, please let me know. I'm always here to help you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and until then, have a great day. Bye!